Hey everyone, this is Demari. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And today I'm going to be doing the Shadow Work Tarot reading for the sign of Sagittarius. Please keep in mind, this is a general reading and it is also timeless. So this may be in relation to events that have taken place in the past, things that are currently playing out in your present circumstances, or things that may come up in your near future or even beyond, okay? So it's important to be aware of that. However, I do feel you will receive this message and be brought to your awareness at a time where you need to hear it. Now, with regards to the spread, I'll be pulling one card from each of the three oracle decks I have here. So we'll start with the Dark Mirror oracle deck, we'll then get one from the Angelarium, and then one from the Moonology. When it comes to the tarot messages, I'll be pulling a few cards to get further insights using the Wild Unknown Tarot. So, Sagittarius, let's take a look. So just while I'm shuffling, or trying to shuffle, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's been liking, commenting, subscribing, and even sharing my videos. It means a lot to me to have your continued support. So thank you so much for being a part of this community. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and don't forget to hit the notifications bell so you're informed of when the readings go up on the channel next for you. If you would like a personal reading, you can find the information in the description box below, as well as the link for my Patreon if you would like to become a member. There you'll have access to exclusive tarot readings you will not find anywhere else, as well as spiritual guidance videos and much, much more. So check that out. Okay, so Sag, what's going on with you? Interesting. So the card you have, Sagittarius, from the Dark Mirror deck is the Temple of My Body. So that's interesting. So this female character here, she is kind of like a succubus, right? That's her type of energy. So I feel like you may have unconsciously been feeding off the negative energy that surrounds you at this time, right? There may be a little bit of energetic vampirism taking place. And while that may sound bad, you know, I'm not pointing fingers at you and telling you off. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because the reality is we all do it on some degree, you know, consciously and unconsciously. Most of the time unconsciously. We unknowingly, right, absorb the energy around us. I know that's something that often gets associated with, you know, empaths picking up on other people's energy and absorbing them. You know, and then there's also psychic vampirism, where people consciously, you know, feed off the energy of others to resupply their own energies. And, you know, neither of those things are inherently bad at all, right? It's just that you have to be cautious of what energy you choose to absorb, right? Because you may be feeding off of, I feel like you're feeding off a lot of negative energy at this time, and that is obviously going to have an effect on your, you know, on your psyche and the kind of mindset that you have, right? If you're feeding off of just negative energy, then what's going to happen? You're going to be pretty negative, right? You're not going to be in your most ascendant energy. You're more likely to fall into your shadow. So it's important that you're aware of that, okay? That, you know, you need to make sure that you're in positive environments as well, so that you can, you know, thrive in those environments. And not just so you can resupply, you know, your energy with someone else's positive energy, but so you can also be exchanging that, right? Because whether we realize it or not, everything we do is an energy exchange. When we're when we're communicating with someone else, there's always an energy exchange taking place. Whether you want it to or not, that's just the nature of coming into contact with another being, right? Whether it's an animal, a person, you know, even plants, there's always an energetic, you know, exchange taking place on some level. It's just the nature of the reality we live in. So it's a case of you have to be mindful of what environments you're navigating in order to resupply it, right? Because otherwise you may actually do more harm than good to yourself. Not so much to other people, but to yourself. So it's important to be aware of that. I know that kind of seems like a bit of an abstract message, but obviously someone needed to hear that. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even, okay, this just was like, I have to take it. I normally wouldn't take a card that just flies out immediately, but it just felt like that was the card, so I will take it. So from the Angelarian deck, you have Chokmah, Right Eye, Wisdom, right? So that's the thing, it's like being aware of your surroundings, being aware of what you feed off of, right? And how that's going to impact you. Because everything that you know, take in is going to have a significant impact on what you put out, right? So it's important to be very conscious of what you absorb in terms of your foods, your, you know, the drinks that you have, the environment that you're in, the communications that you have, the energetic exchanges, right? All of that feeds into your consciousness, right? Through the unconscious, essentially. So it's really important that you're, you know, if you want to be operating at a high level and feeling really good and abundant and very positive and ascendant, then you're not going to want to be in a negative environment. You're not going to want to have negative conversations with people who are just, you know, constantly, you know, very negative in general, right? Because otherwise that's what you're going to embody. So it's just being aware of that, okay? So we'll just have a look at the signs for this. So this is a really weird energy I'm getting from this spread so far, and then this reading in general. It's very vague. It's kind of very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's more meta, really, than a lot of the other readings that I've done so far for this week's shadow work ones. Yeah, it's more abstract, but it's more about, you know, what you're taking in at this point. That seems to be the main message here about, you know, careful what you choose to absorb. You know how, like, people are always saying, you know, depending on what you choose to spend all your time and energy focusing on, that's going to shape your reality, right? Well, it's kind of like this. That's the kind of overarching message that seems to be here so far. Like, careful what you absorb. So let's go to the booklet for the signs here for Chokmah, because that may give you a deeper message, particularly if you see these signs in your reality. There may be something synchronistic about it, some kind of messaging that's trying to come in for you through the, you know, by the divine, to help you come to this realization and awareness of where perhaps there's a warning in a certain environment you're navigating or certain circles you're operating in, things of that nature. So let's see. Where did Chokmah? It's right eye. So it should be here somewhere. No? Okay. Okay, here it is. So the signs for Chokmah here is, it's found in birth, intuition, and subconscious. So this is what I was saying. Birth, intuition, and subconscious. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. So it's a case of, you know, you have to be careful what you feed yourself, because it's going to filter through the unconscious and then have a conscious effect on you, right? So it's like I was saying before, really. Okay. So let's see what the numerology deck has to say about this. I feel really strange doing your reading, I have to say, Sagittarius. You may be in a bit of a weird mindset yourself right now. There's definitely some shadow stuff going on for you. I feel like you're kind of, okay, I'm getting like, you know, if I was to pull a tarot card right now, I'm getting like devil energy, like, you know, there's certain, you know, behaviors and patterns that are playing out for you. I feel like you're kind of feeding your dark side a little bit right now, because it feels good. As much as you know that obviously you have to be cautious with this energy, I feel like you are kind of feeding into your desires, your darker desires a little bit right now, because it feels good. Interesting. And it's like, you know, it's like I'm getting like hedonistic energy from this, right? And it's kind of like, you know, you're very in and out, you know, very half in, half out, you know, when it comes to, you know, you being very conscious and present in your reality and being more in kind of like a airy-fairy astral kind of state. So I feel like you're kind of, maybe this is relevant though, maybe you need to do this. As weird as it sounds, sometimes we have to, you know, feed our shadow aspect a little bit, right? So that we can integrate certain things that needed to close out in certain cycles. It's hard to explain without it sounding really strange, and I don't want people getting like freaked out or anything, but you know, we always like have this idea that we have to fight against our shadow, fight against the darkness, and everything that's kind of shrouded in darkness and mystery, and you know, sort of the darker aspects is just inherently bad, but that's not the case, right? I feel like some of you are doing this because you're understanding that it's necessary, because it will give you certain insights and it will help you recalibrate, actually, because perhaps maybe you were leaning too far on the needing to abstain from all things that you may find enjoyable, or you feel that maybe a little bit on the risque side of things, you know. So I think because you went really far on the altruistic kind of side of things, you're just letting yourself have a bit of a hedonistic moment. That's what I'm getting with this. And that's not a bad thing, as long as you keep it in check, like you don't give the shadow full reign. It's not a bad thing, you know. You're doing a bit of self-exploration, I feel like. But however, from the moonology, I just pulled the full moon in Aries, a fiery climax approaches. So you could have Aries in your chart as well. You could have a lot of fire placements, Sagittarius, or you could be dealing with an Aries. But I feel like, yeah, with this coming up, it's like maybe you've been pushing the boat too far, right? You've been doing things and you're getting a little bit reckless now because you're just enjoying being in your shadow. You're enjoying feeding your, you know, your darker aspect, you know, like the dark goddess, right? So you may have done something you shouldn't have done, and perhaps this is coming out and yeah, it's going to result in a seriously, you know, explosive confrontation. Maybe some drama, maybe some, you know, spectacle, you know, where this just comes out in the open. Definitely I see it being some kind of argument. So, I don't know, what did you do, Sagittarius? I know some of you are going to be watching this like, I didn't do shit. Like, I've just been at home, minding my own business, and that's fine, because this is obviously not for everyone. Like I said, this is a really weird reading that I'm getting, but whoever I'm picking up on, and you know who you are, right? You know who you are. You know you did something perhaps you shouldn't have done, or you crossed the line, or, you know, you did something kind of risque, and the reason why you're having this confrontation is because you maybe have put yourself in a situation where it could have been very dangerous, right? You pushed the boat too far. So that's what I'm feeling. So that's why now you're having to rein it back in, rein your shadow back in, because you did give it a bit too much leeway. So, and that's what I was trying to warn you about, because yeah, if we give too much leverage to the shadow, it's going to run, you know, it won't take an inch, it will run a mile with it, right? So you have to be very careful with that. So I feel like you're coming to that realization. Again, I think this is why you had to go through this. You needed that lesson to find your balance, your equilibrium, right? And you can't usually find that unless you kind of push it too far one way or the other. So that's what I feel like you're going through right now, Sagittarius, because you were probably very good, you know, always played it, you know, played by the rules in a lot of ways, and, you know, never did anything that would really rock the boat. So this is you kind of testing the waters, really. That's what I feel like. And yeah, it felt good for a time, but then you kind of went too far, and now you're like, oh crap, how do I come back from this, you know? So you're just trying to find that, get a sense of equilibrium, which is good. Okay, so let's see what the tarot has to say about this. But yeah, hopefully that made sense, because it was really weird, I have to admit. Like, the energy I was getting, it was like, yeah, just hedonism, you know. I could feel that, like, in different ways for different people. But you know, just self-exploration, you know, through the darker aspects. And yeah, I mean, I have no problem with that at all. Like, you do you, you know, like, and it can be a lot of fun to do that kind of, you know, hedonistic exploration in whatever form that is. But you have to be careful. You have to make sure you're safe, and don't do anything too risky that you're going to later regret, which may have already occurred. Yeah, and just find that balance, you know. It's not about being holier than thou. It's not about denying yourself certain experiences, right? But you have to be safe and careful and consciously aware of others. You know, you have to be sensible about it. You have to be responsible, because there are others involved usually, and you know, you have a certain obligation to protect yourself as well. So this is the thing. Okay, so the first card you have from the tarot is the Father of Swords. So this is King of Swords energy. So air, okay? Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. You could have any of those prominently in your chart, or you could be dealing with an air sign, right? But I feel like maybe you did something a bit reckless and you ran into the law, right? That because this can be, or this is often associated with authority and legal aspects and things like that, like an authoritative figure. So it's possible that you pushed the boat too far and then you got caught, right? So this could be that perhaps you cheated on a partner and they've now found out and they're just laying down the law, right? Or it could be that you did something illegal in some way and you were caught by the police and now you're having to pay a fine, go to court, whatever, right? So you're having to learn the hard way, essentially, that where the line is what I'm getting from this. Ouch. Okay, so the next card you have is the Moon in reverse, Pisces energy. Could be relevant. So I feel like it's a case of, yeah, you're realizing now, like, okay, this is why people don't go as far as that, or this is why, you know, I shouldn't have done that particular thing, because it was reckless and, you know, I knew it probably wasn't the best thing to do, but, you know, I was just having my moment. You know, I kind of get the sense that when you were a teenager, you didn't do anything like too reckless, right? Okay, maybe you might have had some beers or something, or, you know, a bottle of cider or whatever when you were young, you know, when you shouldn't have done, or something like that, right? But I don't feel like you did anything particularly reckless. You didn't feel like you got to have your rebellious moment. So this is you kind of having your rebellious moment. And now you're realizing, like, okay, yeah, that was pretty stupid, actually. Like, why did I do that? You know, that was never going to result in anything positive. But, you know, you're understanding now where, you know, you need to draw the line. And especially if you were in certain environments where people were kind of goading you and, you know, encouraging you to do more and more reckless things. You know, like I said, certain toxic circles perhaps, or those that you were feeding off of energetically that made you feel good, that give you like, you know, like that hit, right? You know, kind of like a hit of euphoria, is that sort of thing, right? And I'm not saying it had to be anything drug related, obviously, but I just mean like just being in these people's presence, being in that kind of environment was like, you know, it was like that kind of feeling. It gave you that buzz, right? Because you were doing something naughty or something, you know, in the shadows, in the night, you know, something unseen, something risque, you know, it just, you know, it just made you feel a bit rebellious and it made you feel alive, essentially. But now you're realizing, okay, yeah, there is a line, you know, there is a line as to how far you should push things. Now, the next card you have is the Four of Cups, water energy, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio again. So you could very well be dealing with a Pisces or have it in your chart. But I feel like, yeah, it's like now you're like, okay, I know where the line is. I'm not going to make the same mistake, because it's not worth putting myself through this. It's not worth putting who I care about through this simply because, you know, I just want to feel alive or have a moment or whatever. So, you know, now I know where to draw a line. Now I know where to say no, or what I do want and what I don't want. I have that clarity now. You see, you know, you've got the moon there in the reverse and the upright. So it's like, now you've been through this experience, now you've had your mini descent, you know, you're able to see why these boundaries are important, why it's important to say no, to know your limits, to know what is serving you and what doesn't. Now you have this experience and this awareness. You're like, okay, I'm not going to make that same mistake again, because it's not worth risking my freedom, my happiness, you know, my connections for the sake of this, right? So it was, you know, the lesson served its purpose, essentially. Next card is the Page of Cups in reverse. Oh, sorry, Knight of Cups in reverse, Sun of Cups, right? So more water, strong water energy here. So yeah, it was a significant lesson. And now you're just like, okay, I think I'm gonna have to keep a low profile for now, because I let things blow over, because yeah, you know, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself. I was like doing all this crazy shit I've never done before. It was interesting, but you know, obviously, yeah, it got to a point where it wasn't fun anymore, because I did something that has cost me in some way. So now, you know, I'm just going to keep a low profile and just, you know, do what I need to do to get things back on course, get things back on track. Because right now I'm feeling like crap because I pushed it too far, right? It's kind of that sort of thing. Like, I didn't know when to stop or say no, or say I don't want that or whatever. And now, you know, I'm paying for it. So yeah, definitely keeping a low profile is what I'm feeling at this time, Sag. But I think whatever you decided to do, it wasn't like you were forced into it or anything like that. It was something you chose to do, right? Because you were just like feeling rebellious and youthful and just wanting to live on the edge, right? That's what I get from this, wanting to live on the edge. And it just bit you in the ass, you know. But now you've learned the lesson, so you're not going to do it again, right? And with the potential outcome, of course, the Tower. So Scorpio energy. So you could be dealing with Scorpio, have it in your chart. But now it's like, okay, I learned the hard way. I'm not going to make that same mistake. So now, you know, okay, I deal with the consequences, whatever they are. I accept my, you know, role in this and what I did. You know, I'm not going to pretend that, you know, I'm innocent. Of course, I did what I did. I'm going to accept it for what it is. And then I'm going to move on and make positive changes so I don't do this again, right? So it's kind of like learning, you know, the hard way, like I said, from this. Understanding that it's your responsibility to kind of make things right. So that's what I feel like you're doing. And even if like, say if you did cheat on someone, right? And that person is not willing to forgive you, then you're just cutting your losses and building anew elsewhere and choosing not to repeat that cycle again, right? So either way, I feel like the lesson served its purpose, right? But yeah, really interesting reading. Obviously, like I said, this is only going to be for probably a select few of you. So don't get upset if you feel like this doesn't resonate for you. It's not for everybody, okay? This is obviously going to be for a smaller group, but this obviously needed to come out for somebody. So if you haven't done something that reckless yet, but you know you've been pushing the boat, I would say hear this as a warning, okay? Because you may do something that's one step too far. And that's not something you can retract once it's already done. Sure, you can try and make amends for it. You can try and rebuild. You can try and, you know, just take on the responsibility and whatever the consequences are and hope that things will be better moving forward. But the reality is you can't undo what is done, yeah? So if you haven't crossed that line yet, but you know there's something coming up or there's a desire to do something that you know is very questionable, that you're on the fence about because you know it's a risk, hear this as a warning, okay? Because I feel like in some shape or form, you will get caught out and you will have to face the consequences. So just be aware of that. So weird, really weird reading, almost said Cancer. Really weird reading, Sagittarius. You could be dealing with a Cancer as well with that moon card there, to be fair. But yeah, I really hope this helps whoever needed to hear this. I don't know who, but obviously someone out there. So I hope it helps you anyway. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment if you found it useful. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. What am I even saying at this point? Yeah, subscribe, notifications bell. Hope it helped. Such a weird reading. Even my mindset is really weird now. But anyway, Sag, wish you all the best, and I will speak to you guys soon. Bye.